Hello, everyone. I know it's been a while, but this is Sharky coming back to talk to you more about Sebastian Stan's characters. And today we are talking about none other than Chase Collins. Fan favorite, I might say. And I want to start off, I'm going to say something a little controversial that some people are probably not going to like. Like I said, Sebastian Stan is very good at playing very flawed, very complex characters. I will argue that Chase is not one of them. Because I would argue that Chase, out of all the characters that Sebastian Stan has played, is pure evil. And I'll explain why. So when we first meet Chase, he's the new kid. He's just trying to fit in at a party, it seems like. But there's something not exactly right about him, it seems like. Like, there's something that feels a little off if you're paying attention. He sees this group of guys hanging out. Caleb, Tyler, Pog, and Reed. And Caleb's meeting Sarah for the first time at this party. And all of a sudden, some guy starts picking on Sarah and the other guys. And then all of a sudden, it's like Chase steps in with the group of guys, like all of them telling them to lay off, have to leave the girl alone. And then all of a sudden, you see his friend throw up on him, like the friend of the bully throw up on him. And they're not exactly sure why. And then the cops come, and then they have to dart out, leaving Chase alone with the girls and all the guys in Caleb's group going off together. Now, this wouldn't seem like anything, but there seems to be some form of magic that's going on at that moment, because actually I believe Caleb asked his friends, it's like, did you guys do that? Because it was like, that was really weirdly timed. Like, nope, we didn't do that. And so then you see Chase going with the girls, and it's like, well, later you find out that Chase was the one who caused the guy to throw up on him as a way to get close to Sarah and her roommate, as well as Caleb and the entire group, the group of four. And this is an indication of a lot of the things he does through the rest of the film. Because, like I said, I swear Chase is pure evil. And people say it's like, especially with with the next scene, it's like he took care of that room, he took care of Sarah and her roommate with the spider, or by killing it and stuff. And I was like, but did he though? We find out later that Chase's powers are connected to spiders. So did he call the spider? Did he conjure the spider? Did the spider just happen to be there and he used it to think, maybe I can figure something out from them? And he did. He found out that the two girls, especially Sarah, really didn't like spiders. And that she was a little spooked out from like the whole episode of what happened with the cops and everything. And because I believe she's also new. So Chase uses that to his advantage and tries to scare her in the bathroom by appearing as a cloud of smoke. Like, he's psychologically torturing Sarah. And the reason he started doing this is he saw how Caleb reacted to her. And his whole goal is to get close to Caleb and to this group. And we're going to find out more why later, or as we keep going in the video. But Caleb finds out, like, there's this darkling that's hanging around. Pog sees it too, and they find out it's one of their schoolmates that ended up dead. And later we find out that Chase's license, or his school ID, was found in the car of the student who was dead. And so he's questioning, he charismatically is able to get out of it. And the headmaster pretty much tells him, it's like, you chose a good group choosing Caleb and his friends. And he's like, yeah, I know I did. So he continually tries to get out of things, like multiple times. And it's like, you see him like stirring up up trouble. He stirs up trouble by hanging out with Sarah and her roommate, which her roommate's Pog's girlfriend. So he gets Pog jealous as to the point where his girlfriend doesn't want to talk to him. And then at that point, that's when he starts again with the psychological warfare on Sarah. Because that night she wakes up into what seems like a nightmare where there's spiders crawling all over her. It seems like she snaps out of it, and then she looks over at her roommate and she sees that there's spiders crawling all over her, and she freaks out. I would freak out too. But then again, she snaps out of it and she's like, there's nothing there, she's fine. But that's not fully the case, because later we find out that her roommate ends up in the hospital, like from anaphylactic shock practically, because of a bunch of what appears to be bites. And that's when she realizes there's something really wrong going on. And she's trying to contact Caleb to help her at that point. And before all that goes down, again, we have Chase trying to weasel his way into the group of four, which we find out Caleb and his friends are actually the descendants of the sons of Ipschwitz, which was one of the main group of witches in the Salem witch trials. They were like four families that survived, because Ipswich was the town. But they find out as they're looking that there was this fifth family who was thought to be dead. And they're like looking at all these signs and wondering, it's like, what if they're not dead? Because especially when they start figuring out that something is wrong, is right before Pog finds out his girlfriend and is in the hospital and is very, very sick. They are having a race in the pool, and Chase decides to use his powers then to make Caleb crash into the wall. So that way, again, like, he can get closer to him and play psychological warfare. And pretty much it shakes Caleb for this, and actually makes them go look into the book and see if there was another family. And then they also look up like Chase's background, and you find out that on Chase's 18th birthday, his adoptive parents died. You find out that he was adopted. And what happens on the 18th birthday for the Sons of Ipswich is they ascend. They get their full powers. Like, until then, they're just kind of playing around with, like, training wheels, essentially, with powers. And so the fact that his adopted parents died on his 18th birthday is very, very suspect to Caleb. And so that's when he starts thinking about it. And like, he starts asking his dad and trying to figure out what's going on. And then that's when they get the message that Pog's girlfriend is in the hospital. And Pog is furious. He runs off to try and see if he can do something about it. And he runs into Chase. And Chase pretty much like totals him and hurts him to the point where he also ends up in the hospital. And so Sarah ends up calling, saying it's like, something's really wrong. I don't understand. I'm scared. Please come help me, Caleb. And so Caleb rushes off to do that. But before he gets there, Chase is there posing as him with Sarah. And he pretty much puts her into a sleep and uses that spider power to pretty much try and hurt her. Like, he's threatening to kill her in front of Caleb if Caleb doesn't give him the power that he wants. He wants all the power, and Caleb keeps trying to tell him, no, that's not a good idea. You don't understand what it's going to do. And he's like, oh, I understand completely. Like, he pretty much wants to be immortal. He wants to be all powerful. And Caleb, knowing what the power did to his dad, he's like, you'll have all this power and stuff, but it's gonna take away from your life. But he doesn't want to listen. He wants all the power for himself. He ends up sparing Aaron Caleb because it's not his time yet. But on the way to Caleb's 18th birthday party, he ends up abducting him and Sarah. And then there's this whole huge fight again over the powers. And at that point, Caleb starts ascending. And Chase admits to killing his parents, admits to killing the one guy. It's like, they saw me use magic. They had to go. That's literally his reason. They saw me use magic. They had to go. Which is one of the reasons I would argue that he definitely is the most evil, like, out of all of Sebastian's characters. Because he literally does all of this thing with just the motivation of power. Everything he does is to manipulate. Everything he does is to get closer to his goal, to what he wants. And he doesn't even succeed because Caleb's dad actually surrenders his own power to Caleb so that way Caleb can beat him. And the last that we see of him is him getting thrown into a fiery barn, which it seems that somehow he escapes because there's no remains found. But he could be dead. It could be a result of magic, but Caleb and Sarah aren't even sure of that. But I do want to say, because it's like, I know people are going to give me the Loki argument that it's like, oh, it's like he's evil, but it's like there is still the chance he could be redeemed and stuff. I was like, I'm going to go with the Loki argument here, and I'm going to use it against people. Because it's like, Loki was an adopted child. He didn't feel like he belonged in his family and stuff like that. But everything that Loki does in the first Thor movie, goodness, I'm not good with tongue twisters right now. Everything that Loki does in the first Thor movie is to gain approval of his adoptive father. Like, he kills his actual father because his actual father is a bleh. But everything he does is to gain approval of his adoptive father. That's all he wants. He wants to be seen as good enough, as good as Thor. Or he wants to be accepted because he feels like he never was. He was always the blemish. He was always the prisoner. And that's kind of what makes him more redeemable, because his motive is to be accepted, not to gain power. He could have gained power and ruled over Asgard. He could have literally done that. That could have been his goal. It's like, I'll show them how worthy I am by destroying everything and taking over everything. He doesn't necessarily do that. He puts his father into sleep, reigns over Asgard, and uses his dad, his adopted father, as bait to kill his real dad. But it's not out of malicious intent. His motives are in the right place. But Chase Collins, on the other hand, his motives are not. His motives are purely based on power. It's like, I see it, I want it, I'm going to have it. It's mine. It's every right to be mine. I have every right to this power, and I will destroy anything and everyone who gets in my way. And that's literally what he's doing the entire movie. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that it maybe made you think about this character a little bit more. It's like I said, it's been about a month since I've seen this movie, so I might be a little foggy on the details, but yeah. I would argue that Chase Collins is probably the least complex of Sebastian's characters, but is definitely the purest evil out of all of his characters. So until next time, I'm Sharky, and I'll see you later.